I didn't expect the year to end like that. Honestly, I thought it would be another quiet night. Maybe too much beer, some half-hearted fireworks, me pretending not to stare at Liam when he wasn't looking. The usual. But this time was supposed to be different. Because for the first time in 3 years, I'd made a New Year's resolution I actually planned to keep. Tell him. That was it. 3 stupid little words. I had rehearsed them 100 different ways. In my head, in the mirror, once even out loud in the car until I freaked myself out and blasted the music to drown out the silence. Liam had no idea, of course. He never did. To him, I was just the guy he shared a 2-bedroom apartment with. His friend, his roommate, the guy who made a killer hangover breakfast and pretended not to hear when his hookup stumbled out the front door at 2 a.m. But I wasn't just pretending. I was enduring. Because somewhere between freshman year dorms and senior year off-campus living, I'd fallen for him. Hard. So I made a deal with myself. Midnight on New Year's Eve. One chance. I'd say it. Finally, after all this time, and whatever happened after, I'd deal with it. Only he beat me to it. It started like any other night. The apartment smelled like pizza and cheap champagne. Our mutual friends had gone off to some massive rooftop party downtown, but Liam and I opted for something quieter. Just the two of us, some drinks, a couple of old playlists, and the fireplace crackling in the background. He looked good. Too good for how casual the night was. Just joggers and a hoodie, hair still damp from his shower, a little stubble on his jaw. I was already distracted, and the night hadn't even started. "You sure you don't want to go out?" he asked, tossing me a beer from the fridge. "Nah," I said, catching it one-handed. "I like this better," he smiled. "Me too." That should have been a sign. The softness in his voice. The way he looked at me just a little too long before turning back to the fridge. But I brushed it off. I'd done that so many times before it felt automatic. By the time the countdown hit 30 minutes to midnight, we were both tipsy, sprawled on the couch, legs tangled under the same blanket. The TV was muted, flashing the ball drop from Times Square, while Liam talked about the worst dates he'd had this year. I tried to laugh at the right parts, but mostly I was focused on not blurting out something stupid like, "I love you and I hate every guy you've brought home." "You ever think about not doing this?" he asked suddenly. "Doing what?" "This. Dating apps. All that." I blinked. "I mean, yeah, I guess." Liam glanced at me, eyes half-lidded but serious. "Ever think about just telling someone how you feel? Like, screw the guessing and the games. Just say it." I didn't answer right away. My heart was hammering in my chest because that was literally my plan. That was the whole point of this stupid night. "I've thought about it," I said finally. He smiled, a little sad, a little nervous. "Me too." The clock hit 5 minutes to midnight. We poured champagne into mismatched mugs, because of course we had no clean glasses left. Liam sat closer now, his knee brushing mine under the blanket. I opened my mouth to say it, I was ready. But then he looked at me and said, "Can I go first?" That caught me off guard. "Go first with what?" "My resolution," he said, smiling like it was no big deal. "I made one this year." "Oh yeah, what is it?" He hesitated, then leaned in, voice quieter now, eyes steady on mine. "To stop pretending I don't feel something for you." The room went silent. Not because the noise stopped, but because I stopped hearing it. Everything else, the TV, the fireworks outside, the seconds ticking down, just blurred into static. He said it. He said the thing I was too scared to. And I had no idea what to do. I should have said something right away. Anything. But my brain just locked up. He sat there, eyes steady, face open in a way I hadn't seen before. Like he wasn't scared of what I'd say. Like maybe he already knew. Wait, what? I finally stammered. Liam let out this nervous little laugh, rubbing the back of his neck. I know, bad timing, right? Classic me. But I figured if I didn't say it now, I'd never say it at all. The countdown on the TV was in its final minute, and for the first time in my life, I didn't care about missing the ball drop. "You're serious?" I asked, heart pounding. "Yeah," he said, "I am." I sat back, my drink forgotten on the coffee table. I looked at him, really looked, and saw everything I tried not to see for the last 3 years. The softness in his expression, the way his knee pressed against mine like he didn't want to pull away, the quiet hope in his eyes. He wasn't joking. And all that time, I thought I was the only one struggling to keep my feelings hidden. "I was gonna tell you tonight," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. His eyebrows shot up. "What?" "My resolution." "It was the same, to tell you," I swallowed, forcing myself to look him in the eye. "I've been in love with you, Liam. For a while now." The last few seconds of the countdown filled the silence. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then the fireworks started, both on screen and outside our window. I didn't hear them, because Liam leaned in, slow but certain, and kissed me. It wasn't perfect. Our teeth bumped a little. My hand knocked over the mug on the coffee table, splashing champagne on the rug. But none of that mattered. He kissed me like he meant it, like he'd been waiting as long as I had. His hand came up to cradle my jaw, thumb brushing my cheek like he couldn't believe I was real. When we finally pulled apart, I was breathless. "So?" he said, grinning like an idiot. "I guess we're both bad at keeping secrets." I laughed, the tension that had lived in my chest for years finally cracking open. "Yeah, but at least we're starting the new year right." Liam leaned back into me, resting his head on my shoulder, our legs still tangled under the blanket. "I've wanted this for so long," he said quietly. "Me too." We sat there in silence for a while, the fireworks still echoing in the distance, our living room glowing from the string lights we never took down. I had no idea what the rest of the year would bring. But in that moment, I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. And for once, I didn't have to hide it. After the kiss, everything felt different, and yet nothing had changed. We stayed on the couch for hours, talking about everything and nothing, the way we always did. Except now, our knees were touching on purpose. Liam kept absent-mindedly brushing his fingers against mine, like he was still testing if this was real. I kept catching myself smiling like an idiot. At some point, the playlist ran out and the room went quiet, except for the occasional pop of a leftover firework in the distance. Liam shifted closer and tucked himself into my side, like it was the most natural thing in the world. And maybe it was. "Do you remember that time last spring when we went to the lake?" he asked, voice low, barely above a whisper. "Yeah," I said. "The one where we got sunburned and you lost your phone in the sand?" He chuckled. "Yeah, that one. What about it?" He was quiet for a second, then said, "That night, when we sat out on the dock, I almost told you then." My heart skipped. "Seriously?" He nodded against my shoulder. "I was this close. But then you started talking about some guy you matched with, and I thought, I don't know, maybe you weren't into me like that." I pulled back slightly so I could see his face. "Liam, that guy was a disaster. He called me bro the whole night and tried to get me to split the check after inviting me out." He snorted. "Sounds like a keeper." I shook my head. "I spent the whole date thinking about how I wished it was you instead." That got a smile out of him. "Damn, we really suck at timing." "Speak for yourself," I said, nudging him. I had a whole dramatic New Year's confession planned. "Oh yeah?" His eyes lit up. "Lay it on me. Let's hear the big speech." "Too late," I said, grinning. "You ruined the moment with your own feelings." He leaned in close, mock serious. "Okay, but what if I told you I've had a thing for you since sophomore year?" Then I'd say, "What the hell, dude, why didn't you say anything?" "I don't know," he said with a shrug. "I thought I was imagining it. You'd flirt, and then the next day act totally normal." It messed with my head. "I wasn't flirting," I protested. Liam raised an eyebrow. "Dude, you once called my eyes dangerously pretty while we were eating nachos." I opened my mouth to argue, then paused. "Okay, that one was definitely flirting." We laughed, the kind of laughter that comes when something heavy finally lifts off your chest. It felt good. It felt easy. It felt like us. The next morning was when it hit me. I woke up in my own bed, alone, but the apartment felt different. Warmer, Like something had shifted in the air. I could hear Liam in the kitchen, humming to himself as he made coffee. He always hummed when he was in a good mood. I padded out in my hoodie and socks, still groggy. He was at the counter, hair messy, mug in hand, flipping through his phone. He looked up when I walked in and smiled like nothing had changed. And maybe that was the best part. We were still us. "Morning," he said, handing me a mug. "You're chipper?" I mumbled, sipping. Did I miss the memo? "New year, new vibe," he said with a wink. And also, I got to kiss the guy I've been crushing on for 3 years, so I'm feeling pretty good. I flushed, grinning into my coffee. We ate leftover pizza on the couch, the TV playing some old sitcom neither of us was really watching. Every now and then, Liam's foot would brush against mine under the blanket, and I'd pretend not to notice even though my stomach flipped every time. After breakfast, he got up to shower. I watched him disappear down the hall, the back of his hoodie riding up just slightly, revealing a strip of skin above his waistband. Something so casual it shouldn't have done anything to me, but it did. My heart clenched in that stupid, giddy way it always had around him. Except now, it wasn't just a crush I had to bury, it was real. He came back out a while later, hair damp, wearing the soft gray t-shirt I'd secretly liked on him since forever. "Want to go for a walk?" he asked. "It's freezing, but I feel like I need to move." I threw on my coat and followed him outside. The streets were quiet, patches of old snow still clinging to the curbs. We walked in silence at first, hands shoved deep in our pockets. It wasn't awkward, it was just peaceful, comfortable. Eventually, Liam reached over and brushed his fingers against mine. I glanced at him. "Can I?" he asked. Instead of answering, I slipped my hand into his. We walked like that for a while, fingers laced, passing a few people who probably assumed we were just another couple. That thought, it hit me harder than I expected. We were a couple now, not just two roommates with unspoken feelings, not just almost somethings orbiting each other. This was real. I didn't say it out loud, but I felt it in my chest like a quiet truth. This was the start of something. We didn't define anything right away. There was no dramatic sit-down talk, no Facebook status update, no grand declarations. It was just understood. But of course, that didn't mean it wasn't messy. That first week back at school after break, we slipped into something new, but familiar. We still cooked together, still fought over whose turn it was to clean the bathroom, still binge-watched bad documentaries late at night. But now, there were kisses in the kitchen. Now, there were sleepy, good mornings whispered into each other's necks. Now, there was a new kind of closeness that I hadn't realized I'd been craving all along. I think that's what made it feel so surreal. How easy it was. And maybe that should have been the first clue that things were about to get complicated. It started small. The first time we hung out with our group again, Liam didn't sit as close. He laughed a little too loud, didn't touch me once. We were at Mason's place, drinking cheap beer and eating wings out of a box that tasted like cardboard, and Liam was across the room, deep in conversation with two girls from our program. I wasn't trying to be jealous. It's not like I expected him to cling to me in public, but the shift was so obvious I couldn't ignore it. When we got home that night, I didn't say anything at first, just kicked off my shoes and went straight to brushing my teeth. Liam came into the bathroom behind me, his reflection hovering in the mirror like a shadow. "You good?" he asked. I shrugged, spit, rinsed. "Sure." He frowned. "You don't look like it." I met his eyes in the mirror. "You didn't even talk to me tonight." His face fell. "What? That's not true. You acted like I wasn't there." "I didn't mean to," he said, running a hand through his hair. I don't know. I got nervous." "Nervous?" I turned to face him. "About what?" He hesitated. "What if they notice?" There it was, the thing I hadn't wanted to name. "What if they do?" I asked quietly. He leaned against the doorframe, his shoulders tight. "I don't know, man. It's just new. I've never done this before." "I know." "I like you," he said quickly. "I swear I do. I'm figuring it out. Still trying to wrap my head around it." I nodded. "Okay." And I meant it. I did. I wasn't going to rush him into anything he wasn't ready for. But part of me, the part that had been waiting for him for years, wondered how much longer I was supposed to wait. Over the next couple of weeks, things evened out. We had good days. Great days, actually. Mornings where he kissed my neck while I poured cereal. Nights where we tangled up on the couch until the credits rolled, and the TV asked if we were still watching. We'd sneak kisses in the hallway, steal glances in class. But we still hadn't told anyone, and that silence started to feel louder than anything we said out loud. One night, after an especially long day, I got home to find him already in bed, lights off. I dropped my bag, kicked off my shoes, and crawled in next to him. His arms came around me instantly. "You okay?" I asked, pressing a kiss to his shoulder. He nodded, face buried in the pillow. "Just tired." I didn't push. We lay there in the dark for a while. The hum of the heater, the only sound in the room. Eventually, I said it. "I want to tell people." Liam didn't respond at first. I waited. "I know," he said finally. "You're not ready?" He turned to face me. Even in the dim light, I could see the apology in his eyes. "I don't want to mess this up." "You're not," I said, "but I also don't want to feel like a secret." He exhaled. "Okay, let's figure it out. Together." And I believed him. A few days later, it happened. Not a grand announcement. Just a moment. We were at a coffee shop near campus. Liam ordered for both of us. He always remembered how I liked mine, and when he handed me the cup, his fingers lingered on mine a second too long. Mason was there. He raised an eyebrow. "What's that look?" Liam grinned. "Nothing. Just giving my boyfriend his caffeine fix." My heart actually skipped. Boyfriend. He said it like it was no big deal. Mason blinked. "Wait, seriously?" I waited for the panic, for Liam to backtrack. But he didn't. He just smiled, calm and steady. "Yeah," he said. "Took us long enough." Mason blinked, then shrugged. "Damn, good for you guys. That explains all the domestic tension." Liam rolled his eyes. "Shut up." But he was smiling. And so was I. After that moment in the coffee shop, something lifted. It wasn't that we suddenly turned into the perfect couple or anything. It was more like the tension, that tight, invisible rope that had been stretched between us for weeks, finally loosened. Liam had said it out loud, to someone else, and nothing exploded. No one ran away. No one laughed. We kept doing life the same way we always had, just with less hesitation. But that didn't mean it was always easy. The first time I saw Liam pull away in public, it caught me off guard. We were standing outside a bar after a friend's birthday. It was cold, and I'd slipped my hand into his like I always did. He froze for just a second before quietly pulling it back and shoving both of his hands into his pockets. He didn't say anything. Neither did I. The next morning, he brought me coffee in bed and curled up next to me like nothing had happened. But I couldn't let it go. "Did I do something wrong?" I asked, voice soft. Liam frowned. "What?" "No." "Last night, outside the bar." He blinked, clearly trying to backtrack to the moment. "Oh, no, it wasn't you." "Then, what was it?" He sighed, pulling the blanket up to his chin. "I saw someone I knew. From high school. And I'm not out to him." I nodded slowly. "Okay." He looked at me, brow furrowed. "I'm not ashamed of you. You know that, right?" "Yeah," I said. "I know. But I also knew what it felt like to be someone's exception. Their private thing. And even if Liam didn't mean to make me feel that way, he still did." Later that week, I found myself walking to class alone. Normally, Liam would have come with me, but he had an early meeting with one of his professors. As I walked across campus, I kept thinking about all the little things. The way he always checked before reaching for my hand, how he never kissed me unless we were alone, how we still hadn't told his family. It wasn't like I wanted to post couple selfies or make a big scene. I didn't need a grand parade. But I wanted to feel real, seen, like I wasn't just something waiting in the background of his life. That night, I brought it up. We were lying on the couch, the room lit only by the glow of the TV. Liam had one arm around me, fingers idly tracing circles on my shoulder. "Do you ever think about telling your parents?" I asked, casual as I could manage. He tensed, just slightly, but I felt it. "I think about it," he said slowly. "Okay. But I'm not ready." I nodded, not wanting to push. "Do they know about anyone you've dated before?" "Yeah, girls." "And you don't think they'd take it well?" He shrugged. "I don't know. I think my mom would be fine, but my dad, maybe not." "Do you want me to wait?" Liam turned to look at me, eyes searching. "You're not a phase," he said, and his voice cracked just a little. "You're not something I'm trying out. I've never been this close to being honest about something that scared the hell out of me." I let that sit for a moment. Then I reached over and took his hand. "Okay," I said again. "We do this at your pace. But just don't leave me behind while you figure it out." He squeezed my hand. "I won't." The following weekend, something happened that changed everything. We were invited to a small dinner party at Hannah's place, one of Liam's close friends from high school. I'd only met her once in passing, but Liam had always talked about her like she was family. The vibe was casual. Pizza, wine, board games. I figured it'd be a low-pressure night, but I didn't expect to be introduced as his boyfriend. He did it so naturally. No pause, no hesitation. Just, "This is my boyfriend," like it was the easiest thing in the world. And maybe it was. Hannah smiled, pulled me in for a hug, and said, "It's about time." Later that night, while we were both drunk off cheap wine and curled up on a too-small couch, I whispered, "I'm proud of you." Liam gave me this sleepy grin and kissed the corner of my mouth. "I'm proud of you too." After that night at Hannah's, something shifted. Liam started holding my hand in public without flinching. He kissed me in the grocery store when we argued over what kind of cereal to buy. He let himself be soft with me, visible in ways he'd once hidden. I watched his walls come down slowly, piece by piece, not because I tore them down, but because he chose to let me in. And for the first time since we'd crossed that line, I started to believe we might actually work. That belief was tested not long after. It was a Sunday. We were making breakfast together, like usual. I was flipping pancakes and humming to myself. Liam was leaning against the counter, reading something on his phone. He looked up and I could tell by his face, his whole body, that something was off. "What?" I asked. He hesitated, then held out his phone. It was a text from his dad. "Coming into town next weekend? Let's do lunch." I kept my expression neutral. "Okay." "He doesn't know," Liam said. "Still," I nodded. Liam set the phone down carefully, like it might break if he handled it wrong. "I think I want to tell him." My stomach dropped. "Are you sure?" "No," he said, "but I want to stop being afraid." The next week was tense, but not in a bad way. It was like waiting for a storm you knew had to happen. The air tight with anticipation, every movement laced with purpose. Liam didn't talk much about it, but I knew he was playing out every scenario in his head. I didn't push him. I just stayed close, let him lead. When the day came, he asked me not to come. "I want to do this alone," he said. I nodded. "Of course." He kissed me before he left. Longer than usual, slower. Like he needed to remind himself he could do this. "I'll call you after," he whispered. I watched him walk out the door and felt my chest tighten in a way I hadn't expected. Not because I didn't trust him, but because I knew what it meant to open yourself up like that, to rip something raw out of your chest and hold it in front of someone who might not understand. He didn't call right away. Hours passed. I cleaned the kitchen, I did laundry, I paced the apartment, I checked my phone 100 times. Finally, just after sunset, the door opened. It was Liam. He looked exhausted, pale, his jaw was tight. I stood frozen. Then he walked over, wrapped his arms around me, and buried his face in my neck. I told him. I held him tighter. "How'd it go?" He pulled back slowly, eyes wet but steady. He said he didn't understand. That it was a phase. That I was confused. My heart sank. But he continued. He didn't yell. He didn't storm off. He just looked sad. I didn't know what to say. I just cupped the back of his head and pulled him into me again. "I'm proud of you," I whispered. Later that night, Liam curled into my chest and said, "I don't need him to get it. I just need to stop pretending for people who never really knew me anyway." After Liam told his dad, things didn't change overnight, but something inside him did. It was in the way he carried himself. Straighter spine, more eye contact, less hesitation, like a weight had finally been lifted, and even if the air felt thinner, it was at least honest. His dad didn't disown him. He didn't fully accept him either. They texted once or twice over the next few weeks. Neutral, awkward things like, "Hope you're doing okay," or "Saw this and thought of you." No mention of me. No follow-up questions. But no venom either. Liam said that was enough for now. As for us, we were learning to live out loud. Our first date that wasn't just the two roommates grabbing lunch happened in a tiny Vietnamese place near campus. The lighting was dim, the booths were cracked, and our server didn't blink twice when Liam reached across the table to touch my wrist. It felt small, but real. We still kept things private in some ways. No sappy Instagram captions, no loud declarations at parties. But it wasn't about hiding anymore. It was about keeping what was ours. Some nights we still fell back into old patterns. Movie marathons, leftover noodles, falling asleep halfway through a documentary. Only now we shared a bed. We didn't talk about the future much, but one morning, as Liam was brushing his teeth and I was making coffee, he said it out of nowhere. "You think we'll still be doing this in 10 years? I glanced up. "Doing what?" He leaned against the counter, toothbrush in hand. "This. Living together. Waking up next to each other." I smiled. "I hope so." He looked at me through the steam curling off my mug. "Me too." A few weeks later, I was sitting at my desk, half watching a lecture replay, when I heard Liam's voice from the living room. "Hey," he called. "You've got a letter." "A what?" "A real one, like paper and envelope." I got up, confused. Who even sent letters anymore? When I saw the handwriting on the envelope, I froze. It was from Liam's dad. Addressed to both of us. Liam stood beside me, silent. I looked up at him. "Do you want to open it?" He nodded, barely. I slid my finger under the flap and unfolded the letter slowly. It was short. Barely a paragraph. His dad had written that he was still working on things, that he didn't understand everything, but he was trying, that he wanted to meet again. Both of us this time. Liam didn't say anything for a long time. Then he whispered, "He wrote, both of you." "Yeah," I said softly. "He did." Liam's eyes welled up. He didn't try to hide it. And I didn't say anything else. I just reached for his hand and held it, right there in the middle of our kitchen. The first time Liam's dad came to our apartment, I half expected Liam to cancel. He didn't. He cleaned obsessively that morning, rearranged books, wiped down counters, even lit a candle we both hated just because it smelled like we have our shit together. When the knock came, Liam froze mid-step. I reached for his hand. "Hey," I said, grounding him. "You don't have to be perfect. Just be you." He nodded, barely. The door opened to reveal a man who looked like a taller, grayer version of Liam. Same jawline, same deep-set eyes. He held a small bag in one hand and looked uncomfortable as hell. "Hey, son," he said. "Hey," Liam answered, voice tight. His dad's eyes flicked to me. "You must be—" "I'm Jack," I said, stepping forward and shaking his hand. "Thanks for coming." We sat around the kitchen table like strangers at a job interview. Liam made coffee. His dad declined sugar but took milk. I made a dumb joke about oat milk being the gayest thing in our fridge, and to my surprise, he actually laughed. It was stiff. It was awkward. But it wasn't hostile. He asked about our classes, what we were studying, what we wanted to do after graduation. Not once did he ask why. Not once did he say, "But you used to date girls," or "How do you know this is real?" He didn't look at our apartment like it was foreign. He looked at it like he was trying, and that was enough. Before he left, he stood by the door for a second, fumbling with his jacket. Then he looked at Liam and said, "I don't understand everything, but I see you, and I want to be part of your life. Both of you." Liam didn't cry until the door closed. A month later, it was spring. We sat on the same balcony where he'd first told me how he felt. Legs tangled under a blanket, the city buzzing faintly in the distance. "Do you remember what you said?" I asked him. "That I didn't want to pretend anymore?" "Yeah, you beat me to it." He smiled, eyes soft. "You weren't far behind." We didn't need to say anything else. We just sat there, watching the sky shift from purple to blue to black. This was the year I'd made a resolution to be brave, but he beat me to it, and I was glad he did.